So now we've had a look at jaw movement, we've measured jaw movement, and I've had a feel of what's happening with his jaw when he moves without changing anything to do with his posture. The next thing I want to do is a bit of a TDT, so a treatment-directed test, and it's going to help me understand how much involvement from the cervical spine, his postural component, might be influencing his jaw problem. So in this part of it, what I'm going to be doing is just trying to change his posture, get him in more of an upright position, and then reassess those movements that he was having problems with. So let's say Jack was, when he was opening his mouth, he couldn't move his mouth as far. We might have been seeing a deviation with it, and he was reporting a click when he moved. What I want to do now is going, okay, Jack, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to sit up nice and tall. Good, so up through the middle of his back, chest nice and wide. Good, like there's a string coming out the top of your head. Perfect. So we're getting him in a lot more of that upright position, and then I'm going to be reassessing that problem movement or movements. So Jack, now what I want you to do is open your mouth again as wide as you can, and I want you to tell me if it feels any different for you, okay? Good, and then close. So I'm again observing to see whether there's been any change to his, for example, deviation or deflection. See whether he's reporting any change to his click, his clunk, his lock, and I might be measuring that movement to see if we can get any further. If I'm seeing a significant improvement, so let's say we sit him up nice and tall and suddenly he can open his mouth significantly further and he's not reporting a click anymore, I already know within the rest of my physical examination, I'm still going to be having a feel around the jaw, but I need to be diving in pretty heavily into what's happening in the cervical spine and even down in through the thoracic and the shoulder girdle. So my assessments might be a little bit more targeted towards, for example, manual assessments of cervical and thoracic spine, my PIVMs and my PAVMs. I might be looking at passive range of motion assessments of the cervical spine. I might be having a look at shoulder girdle and shoulder range of motion, as well as muscle activation around that shoulder girdle. So for example, a prone scapular hold or his internal-external rotation. So that's going to be in my initial assessment. If I notice a really big change in his symptoms, I'm not actually doing anything to the jaw in this position apart from changing its starting position and how it might move from that point. So the last thing that we're going to do with an active range of motion assessment is, particularly if we're noticing that the cervical spine or below might be having a big involvement, I might want to get a more standardized measurement of Jack's jaw movement without so much of the functional involvement from the other areas. So I just want to know what his baseline is and make it really easy for me to reassess that between sessions. So in this position, I'm going to line Jack up against the wall. So he's got the wall for support. I want his head to be against the wall, but with him in a neutral position. So you can see in this position, he retracts quite a lot through that upper cervical spine to get there. So I'm going to put a pillow or a towel, behind his head. And then I'm just going to use this as his standardized position to be getting some jaw measurements as well. And in this position, we can be measuring, as we did up on the plinth, we can be measuring jaw mouth opening range of motion, side to side, so laterotrusion, as well as protrusion range of motion, so that jaw coming forward.